Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Kermitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
You did your arms up in the air that time.
Yeah, that was just for you, Sam. That was my little celebratory. We're into a new year of this podcast, so woo! More energy.
Yeah, more energy. Okay, we're
Bring it up.
Standing up.
We're standing up. Here it goes. And I don't think I can carry this on. I'm already tired.
It's pretty early in the morning.
Yeah, I'm winded.
And I don't really work out or anything, so
I went for a run a few days ago, and my body's still recovering from a very minor run. So, yeah.
We're very old men.
Yeah. We are very old men who this week are returning to their chronological mission of this podcast as we move into the fall of 1979 with the first 3 episodes of Season 4 of The Muppet Show, that's in New York airing order, as well as a Muppet appearance at the Emmy Awards and Big Bird's appearance in the Bob Hope special, On the Road to China.
We're old, but we're not 1979 old. That's truly ancient.
Sorry to any of our older listeners. And before we start talking about those things, we have a few things to touch on here at the top. 1, we announced it last week, but we want to remind you, we now have a Patreon. You can go over to our Patreon page in a number of ways. We'll tweet the link. You can go to Kermitment.com to find the link there. It's patreon.com/Kermitment. I'm sure this time.
You were so unsure of it last week.
I didn't
look it up. I didn't understand why, but
I was confident that I had if I was going to make a link, it would have been that. But I also didn't double check that was actually the link before I said it out loud on the podcast.
You're also sitting in front of your computer, though. Yeah. It would have been very easy to check.
I'm here. I am locked into our conversation, Sam. I'm not thinking about other websites. I'm just looking at your beautiful face talking about Muppets.
Oh, thanks. Well, anyway, you can join the surely dozens and dozens of people who have joined our Discord, our Patreon by now.
Yeah, but speaking of that, you do get access to a Discord via our Patreon, where you can go and talk about Muppets and non-Muppet things with other listeners of Kermitment. It's only $4 a month to support the podcast, and in doing so, you help pay for our hosting fees and merch fees and all that boring stuff that makes a podcast work properly.
Yeah, so much fees.
Lots of fees. Google Drive fees, URL fees.
Everybody wants a damn taste.
And not that we're, beating them back with a stick or anything, but this does keep us from having to, worry about sponsorships if we get a lot of support on Patreon. We don't have to, be like, Casper Mattress, we beg you for your money. Come here.
If BP Oil comes knocking, we don't have to take their nasty blood money.
Yeah, BP Oil, sponsor of many a podcast.
Or one of those missile manufacturers,
I don't like Stark Industries. That's the only one I could think of.
They're not real.
Are you Googling missile manufacturers?
Yeah.
You're going to end up on a list real quick.
Northrop Grumman. If Northrop Grumman comes to our door and says, please sell our drones, right now we'll have to say yes. We'll have no choice. But if you guys help us out.
For only $4 a month, you can stop us from being sponsored by government drones.
Yeah. Please, won't you help us?
Another thing we'd like to mention is that you can now find this podcast on YouTube. You won't get to see our faces there. We're not doing a video podcast.
I don't shower most of the time before this. So.
Yeah, I am wearing pajamas right now. And also, that would make Sam's life a lot harder in editing if there was a video.
I'd be so mad at you.
So it is just, a little Kermitment logo there. But if you like listening to podcasts on YouTube, you can now do that for Kermitment. And it makes it a little easier to share it with friends if you can just share a link to an episode. So episodes will be going up on there from now on. And our goal is to eventually have all of the episodes, the whole back catalog up there as well. So
it's still a podcast too. Don't worry about it. Just more ways to listen.
Yes, just another platform. So that way, more people stumble upon Kermitment. And the last thing I wanted to talk about before we get into talking about all the things we watched this week is there's some Muppets Mayhem news, Sam. So the creators of this new Muppets Mayhem show went on the Beretta Brothers podcast, which for those that don't know, the Beretta Brothers, one of them is Bill Beretta, the performer of Pepe and Bobo and Dr. Teeth and Rolf and a lot of other Muppets now.
Is the other one Gene? Namesake of Mean Gene?
Yes.
Clean Gene?
Correct.
Whatever?
Yes. Gene Beretta is the other Beretta brother on that podcast. They don't do an episode a week kind of thing. They kind of do it whenever they have something to talk about. But this time they had a lot to talk about because they had Adam Goldberg and Jeff Yorks on there, who are the, I guess, showrunners or co-creators, I don't know what their official title is, of Muppets Mayhem. And Adam Goldberg, you might know from The Goldbergs on ABC, that show based on his life that he literally stepped away from to come work on Muppets Mayhem.
Well, it's been going on a long time. That show's caught up to modern day at this point.
Well, it's also now has a CGI Jeff Garland because of his on-set actions.
CGI? They deepfaked him?
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's really unsettling.
Oh, no.
But, you got to do what you got to do when someone is abusive on set.
Well, you could be like, "Whoa, Dad, you been working out or something?" And it'd just be like Uncle Jesse from Full House could be the dad now. Okay, that's a good idea, actually.
Jeff Garland just worked out and became John Stamos.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? If you're out there listening, creators of the Goldbergs, there's your new idea.
Not too late.
Or he could have a horrible accident where he falls on his face and then has to have plastic surgery and he comes back and then he's John Stamos.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Yeah. This podcast is just sitting on the internet waiting for some Hollywood big wig to listen to and be like, these guys are printing gold every day. Printing gold, I guess. 3D printing gold.
That's why we're not making money. We don't even know how to make gold. But Adam Goldberg and Jeff Yorks were on this podcast to talk about the upcoming Muppets Mayhem show. They couldn't say a lot because Disney obviously is like, hey, we don't want everyone to know everything. But I think they revealed more than they even planned on revealing. So the things we know about Muppets Mayhem, it is starting to shoot very soon, within a week or two of this recording. They are planning on shooting it. The aim is that it's going to be a 10-episode miniseries written like a giant movie. So they're wanting to tell a big story over 10 episodes.
Okay.
There's no premiere date yet. They don't really know when it's going to come out. The goal is that the Electric Mayhem will release an album as a part of this. And so you will have an Electric Mayhem album on Spotify and everywhere else you listen to music. They're still debating how they're going to shoot some of it, whether it's going to be green screen or the LED wall they used on Muppets Haunted Mansion. But they did say there's going to be a lot of practical shoots. So that's cool.
That's good.
The series is about the band and their journey, but some old friends will show up. And they also said that their goal is to introduce some new Muppets.
Ah.
They're trying to establish some new characters that will hopefully become beloved regulars.
Give, some people who can have new voices and everyone won't get really mad.
Right, yeah. They're planning on a lot of rock star cameos. Basically, they laid this out in a way that I had never really thought about it, where the Muppet movie is a love letter to Hollywood. Muppets Take Manhattan is a love letter to Broadway. This is going to be a love letter to the music industry.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah, so they're hoping to have a lot of musician cameos. And like they said, most famous people, if you call them and say, hey, you want to work with the Muppets, the answer is usually yes if they have time.
Yeah, why not?
So they're hopeful. And Jeff Yorks, who is working on this, seems to be a massive, lifelong Muppet fan. He used to intern at Henson back in the day, and is seems very excited to be working on this. And they talked about how they are making sure the scripts and their table reads and stuff pass muster with the performers. So they're going to people like Matt Vogel and other Electric Mayhem performers to be like, hey, does this feel right for what Floyd or Janice or Zoot might say or do? And they're willing to change things if the person says no. And the last thing that came up in that conversation, which was interesting, because they had their executive producer, somebody on there who's basically the guy who manages the money and makes sure they can afford to make this show. There was something in one of the scripts where they would have been floating in a spaceship. For some reason, the Electric Mayhem was going to be in space, floating in 0G, and that was one of the things that was cut due to difficulty and budget.
Were they gonna really go to space?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it just seemed like if we're going to cut something, maybe we cut the space sequence because it's going to be more difficult than everything else to film.
Well, maybe it's like the kind of thing where you write like something crazy that you know is going to get cut, and then everything else seems like pretty okay. But did they talk about Zoot's sunglasses, Matt?
They did not, and I was not there for the
This
the
is
live.
question number 1.
Yeah, they have a live aspect of that podcast where if I was there, I would have asked the question, but unfortunately, I was not there for that part of it. I do feel like, I think Jeff Yorks follows Kermitment on Twitter.
Okay.
So he's probably already seen us talking about
You gotta get
Zoot sunglasses.
hashtag bigger Zoot sunglasses going or something like that.
Yeah, I am all right with many Muppet changes through the years, but the one that always still irks me is kind of Zoot in general, because Zoot's Muppet has changed multiple times in weird ways where he just suddenly is a different color or is a different face structure. He's got a weird big mouth or a weird small mouth and then different size sunglasses, and he
looks like a little bit undead now or something. He looks unhealthy.
Yeah. He's just one of those Muppets that if you're gonna, rebuild some puppets for this show, I feel like you got to start with Zoot.
Well, okay, I'm excited for it. I do like I haven't watched the Goldbergs for a while, but I did like it when I watched it back in the day. So I didn't know he was involved with it, but that's heartening to me.
Yeah, and it seems like Bill Beretta is one of the other sort of co-creators of the show as well. So they are working directly with a Muppet Man on this series.
You want to hear another $1 million idea I just had?
Bring it on.
Rock and Roller Coaster? Get
Yes.
Aerosmith out of there.
Yes, absolutely. I
Put
think
Electric
this is
Mayhem in there.
Unfortunately, Sam, I don't think you are the first one to have this idea.
Oh, okay.
But I have seen this idea, I think, on Twitter before, and it's the best idea. Kids don't know who Aerosmith is.
I barely know who Aerosmith is.
I mean, to be fair, the Electric Mayhem is, I think, older than Aerosmith, but kids will know them once this Disney show comes out.
Yeah, they're like contemporaries with Aerosmith at the very least. That's weird. It's funny that Aerosmith wrote a song about like being old and like over the hill, which I think Dream On maybe is like, I'm getting so old, my face is getting wrinkly. But that was like the first song they wrote. They probably had no idea that they'd still be doing it when they were all 175 years old.
I think Steven Tyler literally just turned 74 yesterday.
So yeah, he was already like in his 30s or something. So he probably was feeling pretty old. Anyway, the Muppets never age. That's
true. They live on forever. They will outlive us.
Well, maybe. Unless the whole world is destroyed. And that's how we die. And the Muppets die.
That hearty message is brought to you by government drones.
Buy some drones or the world will be destroyed.
I mean... but getting back to this podcast, it's time to talk about what we watched this week, Sam. So tell the people what we watched this week, Sam.
It's September 20th, 1979, 4 days until Jim's birthday. You sit at your kitchen table, wrapping him a present, and watching the Season 4 premiere of The Muppet Show, guest starring John Denver. John, ever the nature lover, offers to take all the Muppets on a camping trip, to which all the Muppets happily agree, until Kermit tells them that he suggested that they go camping in a swamp. All the Muppets back out, but Miss Piggy senses an opportunity to smash, so she's still in big time until John tells her about all the various snakes, spiders, and creepy crawlies that await her in the swamp, and then she also backs out. Standout moments include John himself, who looks like he's having just a really great time, but not in an annoying way like other people who are having a great time with the Muppets. He just kind of seems like he fits right in. Piggy's camping gear, including her gold lame backpack, is great, and her general excitedness for the trip makes for some fun character moments. And Kermit also wears a cute little hat. However, none of the skits really did too much for me, and it's kind of like a sleepy little episode. It's a cute one, but you're not going to bust your gut. John Denver was a gigantic folk singer with hits like Take Me Home Country Roads, Sunshine on My Shoulders, Leaving on a Jet Plane, the list goes on. And at this point in the 70s, he was, I think, basically still at the peak of his career, having appeared recently in movies, TV specials. He hosted the Grammys, even though he didn't win one until after his death. And in 1979, he also recorded an album and TV special with the Muppets called A Christmas Together, and would collaborate with them many more times over the next decade.
Yeah, we'll be watching that in May, I believe. We'll be talking about that Christmas special.
I didn't know that Christmas special even existed. I thought it was just a record.
Same. I own the album, which comes with a giant poster. So I have this giant, like, 24 by 36 poster of John Denver and the Muppets that I don't know if I'm ever going to hang that up. But yeah, I thought it was just an album as well. And we also will, a little further down the road, we get the Rocky Mountain Holiday Special,
Yeah.
where the Muppets actually do go camping with John Denver.
Yeah. That one is not a Christmas special, though.
No.
They're on a holiday in the British sense of the word.
Yes. And we'll be talking about that in, like, Halloween time this year.
Ah, perfect.
Perfectly timed.
Next, September 27th, 1979, star of stage and screen, Linda Lavin appears on The Muppet Show to help throw Kermit a surprise birthday party. The show features a tribute to frogs, a This Is Your Lifestyle segments with people from Kermit's past, namely his acting coach and ex-employees Wayne and Wanda, and an extravagant closing number featuring a giant cake that all the Muppets climb up and perch Kermit on top of. But it's not all good, innocent fun. In order to make the show all about Kermit, Piggy axed all of the already scheduled acts, including water juggler Zuzu Fitzwaller, who does not take it well and hangs around backstage crying all episode. Standouts include an amazing backstage plot and front stage plot, just plot in general, particularly the This Is Your Life segments, wherein we learn the origin of Kermit's Yay! And learn what happened to Wayne and Wanda. Robin gets a couple cute moments in this one, singing a little song and appearing as the patient in Veterinarian's Hospital. And Statler and Waldorf have what I think is their best moment, maybe of all time, singing the Sinatra song, It Was a Very Good Year, and making cracks about being old. And it's funny, but also deeply sad. The closing number is also incredible with the giant cake, and Linda Lavin is super game and very fun. Speaking of Linda Lavin, she is a singer and actress best known in the television world for playing the title role in the TV show Alice, which was a couple seasons in as of this episode of The Muppet Show, and I think was a huge hit.
I know I've heard about it my entire life for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, that's the show where the Flo is a waitress on that show and says,
"Kiss my grits."
Kiss my grits is the famous thing that my mom would say sometimes that I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I also know that's based on a Martin Scorsese movie called Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which is about a woman fleeing from an abusive ex-husband. And then this show is where she flees to. But I don't think they really mention the movie too much.
Well, and Alice is played by a different woman, so...
Yeah, that as
weird.
well. I think the bulk of Linda Lavin's career, though, would end up being on Broadway, where she got nominated for many, many Tonys and won one of them. And we'll see her again in The Muppets Take Manhattan. October 4th, 1979 brings another episode of The Muppet Show, this time featuring mime duo Shields and Yarnell. In the 1970s, you could be a famous mime. The backstage plot mostly focuses on Fozzie, basically trying to rip off Shield and Yarnell's act with his own miming. He starts off doing all the standard stuff like walking against the wind, but Kermit tells him that he needs to get more creative. Fozzie takes this advice too far and thinks up extremely high concept stuff like feeding spaghetti to an elephant, and everyone hates his act when he finally goes on, which is fair because it's not very good. Meanwhile, Shields and Yarnell do just a bunch of wacky shit all over the place. Standouts include the opening act, which is a bunch of birds hopping around on telephone lines and singing ABBA's Take a Chance, and it's just really cool and has like a fun gimmick in a way that you don't always see on The Muppet Show. There's like a fun point of view to it. There's an act with Quango the gorilla as King Kong singing It's Lonely at the Top, which I feel like I should have liked more, but didn't quite work for me because it maybe just is too long or something. And Shields and Yarnell stood out to me in a bad way because they're just a lot. And I didn't like all of their tomfoolery very much.
Yeah, for me, and we'll get to this, that episode started off strong and like slowly went down a hill until it crashed off of a cliff.
They do that robot thing for so long.
It seemed to be their main shtick was,
I know,
hey, look, we're robots.
We're robots. And people in the 70s were like, "Oh, robots, eh? I never heard of one of those before." Robert Shields and Lorraine Yarnell are a miming and clown team that were everywhere in the late 70s. I'm not really sure what accounts for their rise to fame, but they had a variety show, just like everybody else in the 70s, and they were guest stars on like every show you could think of around this same time. Shields was a classically trained mime, and Yarnell was a clown with Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey, so they were really covering all of the wacky careers that people are afraid of with this duo. We also watched Miss Piggy and Kermit's appearance at the 1979 Emmys. Piggy comes out thinking that the duo was there to host, but Kermit breaks it to her that they're just there to read the rules, which she does not like at all. So she sighs, she mocks Kermit, she interrupts him a bunch of times and says the whole thing's stupid as he's trying to read the rules like a good little boy. And then she refuses to leave the stage when it's over. So Kermit's trying to push her off, and he says, like, get the pork moving or something like that, and she gives him a chop. And we also watched Bob Hope's On the Road to China, a TV special in which the comedian travels to China for what he is calling a cultural exchange. He walks around China, sometimes with Big Bird, meeting artists and basketball players and stuff like that, in an attempt to bridge the cultural divide between the U.S. and China. So Big Bird, in one of the clips, meets a basketball player and plays a little bit of basketball with him for a second. And then in the second clip, he sings with a bunch of kids after watching a crazy puppet show where a guy does a Mortal Kombat fatality to a really creepy marionette for some reason. He like spins him around on a spear and lights his head on fire. It's pretty cool.
It's worth noting that Shields and Yarnell also popped up in that clip of Big Bird playing basketball with the Chinese basketball player. So Shields and Yarnell were also in this special. Neither one of us watched this entire special because two reasons. One, the full thing is about 3 hours long. And two, the whole thing I could not find for us to watch.
And the quality is just awful too. I don't think I would have liked it.
And so the clips we found on YouTube say they're like part 2 of 4, part 3 of 4. Even with all 4 of those parts added together, it does not make the full 3-hour special, so I'm not really sure where the rest of it is. Because
one of the parts is 6 minutes long. That can be, right?
And there's apparently a part where Bob Hope finds Big Bird in a panda cage.
Yeah.
And that is not anywhere in the clips that we were able to find.
That would have been interesting. They seem to make a lot of jokes about people in China wanting to eat Big Bird, which seems a little off to me.
I mean, so this was the first Western special made in China, apparently, which is wild. And this is also the one that famously Carol Spinney was just watching TV and heard Bob Hope say something like, and next month I'll be walking down the streets of China with my friend Big Bird. And Carol Spinney was like, what the hell are you talking about, Bob Hope?
What?
And this was apparently just a Bob Hope idea that then they had to make happen. And they did.
He's that kind of guy.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Obviously, there's some issues with it, like in a cultural sensitivity kind of way, but also just in the like Bob Hope is there praising China in many, many ways, saying that like 10 years ago, the Red Menace would have not let us stood here where we are and say things freely like we are. And the irony that he is standing in Tiananmen Square when he is saying these things 10 years before the Tiananmen Square like protest and massacre, like it does not age incredibly well.
It's a weird one. Robert Shields also, his shtick doesn't go over too well, I don't think, in China.
No. And it's fascinating because like this is a thing that I think they've talked about elsewhere, maybe in I Am Big Bird and stuff, that like Big Bird was not really known in China. Like they didn't have Sesame Street, I don't believe. And so when you just see Big Bird walking down the street and you've never seen him before. That's why like 100 people start gathering behind them to walk down the street because they're just like, what the hell is that thing?
But the kids in that audience seem to love him.
Oh, yeah. And it's really impressive because I will give this special some credit. There are moments where they let like long sections go on like where like people are not speaking English and they're just like not even subtitled and they're just like letting you sort of like interpret and appreciate the puppetry and the culture that's happening on screen without like trying to spoon feed it to an American audience. And at one point Bob Hope attempts to speak Chinese and it doesn't seem to do well because no one reacts to what he says until a translator jumps in and then they laugh at him.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I genuinely believe his heart was in the right place.
Absolutely. I think it is one of those things of like very much of the era, made with the best of intentions, but for many reasons does not age incredibly well.
And the stuff they choose to show is interesting, like the acrobats and the puppet show, and like it's not your run of the mill kind of thing. So, but Big Bird, comes across as like a universally you can't help but love him, even if you never seen him before in your damn life kind of figure. Which was probably like a really cool moment for Carol Spinney, I feel like.
You know who I bet didn't love him, though? the children sitting behind him at the puppet show.
I was thinking the same thing.
They sit him front row at this puppet show, which I'm sure Carol Spinney loved because he loved puppetry and was watching this cool puppet show. But there are children in this audience sitting directly behind Big Bird, who's this 8'2" bird. And these children cannot see the puppet show.
They could have put him off to the side or something.
Yeah. Another small note in that special, when Big Bird meets the 7'5" basketball player, he says, "Hey, shorty."
Yeah, that's cute too.
Yeah.
It does kind of feel like they're making fun of that basketball player a little too much.
Yes, absolutely.
Like when a little clown comes out playing basketball, if I was a basketball man, I would not be pleased with that, I don't think.
No.
But that puppet show is fucking cool.
Yeah.
I want to see the whole thing. The guy's beating up puppets left and right.
That's the thing is, like, when I originally heard about the special, it sounded like it was done in very, very poor taste.
Mhm.
But it was actually better than expected, I will say. And it also leads, essentially, to the later special, Big Bird in China, which happens in 1983, which we will, of course, do a whole episode about probably in November of this year. So look forward to that. I think we're going to have a special guest for that episode. So that's a teaser for a long time from now.
It's Big Bird.
Sorry to our other guest, but if Big Bird agreed to come on that episode, I might bump our other planned guest.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back to this time period we are talking about, there's a few things that happened in the beginning of September 1979. One of them is that Miss Piggy got to be on the cover of People magazine.
Miss Piggy is just so clearly a superstar at this point. And she's feeling it too. Like in the Emmys thing, you can just tell that Frank Oz is loving it.
Oh yeah,
He's
people
at his peak.
absolutely love her at that. And actually, there's a note in Jim's journal from when they went and recorded the Emmy thing that says, "Fly to LA for the Emmys. We don't win, but Frank and I do a very successful Piggy and Kermit bit introducing the rules."
It was very successful.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Piggy was on the cover of People magazine. The headline says, "The Muppet Movie's new sex goddess sighs. My beauty is my curse."
Spunky Sandy Duncan is flying high again. It also says that.
And Eric Estrada nearly cashes in his chips.
Did he die? Did he almost die or something?
I'm guessing maybe.
He got in a motorcycle accident or something.
Well, that seems too on the nose, but maybe.
I don't know. The energy crisis? Wow. Things never change, do they?
No, but apparently the cover story, like if you go and read it inside, the title of the actual story is "The Sex Goddess of the 80s. Miss Piggy makes her mark on showbiz in indelible oink."
That's funny.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to fuck this puppet. Matt, what's going on?
I mean, I think she's making herself a sex symbol. She is putting herself out there as a pig that you want to have sex with. That's the idea she's trying to put in your head.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
And then on September 9th, 1979 is when the Emmy Awards aired. And yeah, Sam touched on the best bits of this, and it is just Kermit and Piggy reading the rules of the Emmys. But, it seems like a really fun way to do that.
I think an interesting thing is also that they seem to be in a relationship now. Like, Kermit is much more patient with her bullshit. Or he's just been hit enough times that he is afraid of her, truly. But he does seem like he cares about her now.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think as much as she is, I think if he was viewing her as just an employee on the Muppet Show in this moment, he would have been a little bit ruder to her.
Yeah.
But
I think there was another award show thing where he was being meaner to her, but I can't think of what it is now.
Well, there's one, I think, where she, kicks the hell out of him and, stomps on him at, an old Oscars or Emmys or something.
Yeah.
But
she doesn't stomp him anymore. She loves him too much to stomp him now.
But in this one, Kermit does comment on usually working in the nude. So, bringing attention to that again.
Yeah, he loves to bring that up.
Miss Piggy thinks they are there to host the Emmys, which, again, would be great. But that is unfortunately not what they are here for.
Yeah.
And yeah, throughout Kermit reading the actual rules of the actual Emmys, Miss Piggy
with
just
a little
constantly,
piece of paper. It's really cute.
Yeah, Miss Piggy keeps interjecting and just saying "boring" or starts whistling a tune, which her whistle face is very interesting.
It's not good. Yeah.
No, because the Nigel puppet is one that's whistled in the past and makes a little whistle mouth
purse your
shape.
little lips. Yeah.
That pig don't have lips, so she can't really purse her lips. So her nose just kind of folds into her mouth
Goes
a little
into her
bit.
mouth. Yeah.
Which I guess you only have so many options when you have a very foam heavy puppet.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like Sam said, Piggy refuses to leave the stage until she gets a close-up. And the audience
Mhm.
fucking goes nuts for that
They
joke.
love it. Yeah.
They're all like, I relate. I also want close-ups.
I think this is my favorite like award show appearance of theirs. that
Oh,
we've seen
yeah,
so
for
far.
sure. I think this is the most sort of, they are in tune with the audience, and the audience like fully appreciates them, where I think we've seen them pop up on other things before where people are sitting in the audience like, what are these puppets
Who are
doing?
these
Why?
guys?
So
Yeah.
I think the fact that the Muppet movie has come out at this point and
Right.
was like pretty like successful, I think most of these people now who maybe even weren't watching the Muppet Show probably have seen the Muppet movie. They know these characters a little better than they have
They
in the
saw him on a
past.
billboard or something,
Yeah.
at the very least.
So
Tonight is the Oscars as we're recording this.
it is.
And I'm feeling like a Muppet's gonna show up.
I kind of have that feeling too, Sam. I feel like they maybe would have announced it, but it also is a great surprise if Kermit just pops up to present an award.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
I
read the
just feel
rules.
it in
Bring
my
him out again.
bones.
Let him read the rules.
Yeah.
And then on September 11th, 1979, the Muppets were once again, and I believe for the last time, on The Mike Douglas Show.
Oh, doesn't
Wait.
exist though.
No, unfortunately, a lot of the 70s Mike Douglas shows I could not find anywhere on the internet. But
Was it still like 4 hours long?
that I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe in the 70s they were just like, why did we keep all of those shows in the 60s? Let's burn
Does he have to
these.
sing 4 songs? No, he doesn't have to sing any songs.
I think he does go on to have a show into the 80s even, but I think this is the last time the Muppets and Mike Douglas will interact. But Jim Henson and Frank Oz appeared on there with guest Burt Reynolds and Barbara Mandrell. And Mike Douglas and Piggy sing together.
Oh.
They sing Let's Call the Whole Thing Off. And Jim, Frank, and some other Muppets join in. Yeah, so, you know, it seems like it would be probably a fun watch, but can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it sounds fun. The first Mike Douglas show was really fun.
Yeah. We do have some exciting like 80s TV appearances from Jim and Frank coming up as they get into like marketing the Dark Crystal. So I'm excited to start seeing them talk about Muppets again soon. But a lot of the 70s stuff just couldn't track down.
Well, I imagine we're coming into a period where there will be a lot of the TV stuff, right? Existent.
Yeah, in various forms. There's some very annoying to track down Today Show clips where they basically exist in one long montage on YouTube. And so it's like we're going to have to watch from 2 minutes and 45 seconds to 7 minutes and 32 seconds to watch this clip. So, yeah, we'll deal with that when we get to it. But for now, it's time to talk about some Muppet Show. Because
Great.
on September 20th, 1979, the John Denver episode of The Muppet Show aired. It was the first episode produced for season 4 and also the first one airing for season 4.
They finally got it right.
Well, I mean, they very quickly step away from that order. So, you know, they tried.
I checked many, many times to be sure I was watching the right thing because I just didn't believe it could be true.
Yeah, it's so rare that the Disney Plus lineup actually is what we're watching. But it does not happen with Linda Lavin. But with John Denver, it is true. This is the first episode where we see another modified theme song.
The worst one yet.
Yeah.
They've cut it down to nothing.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about season 4 right now,
Oh,
based on what we've
interesting.
watched this week.
You know what? In retrospect, I think I am too.
I enjoy these episodes for the most part.
Uh-huh.
But the new theme song, not my favorite. They cut it way down. They have a random assortment of Muppets come out and sing a couple lines, and they wrap it up.
Yeah.
But on top of that, we didn't see any Pigs in Space. We didn't see any Muppet Labs. We didn't see any Bear on Patrol. I know these things will come back, but like not having a bunch of regular segments, shortening the intro like theme song, and then also they have added in more Statler and Waldorf bits again, like they had in like season 1 and 2.
They were funnier this time, though.
They were funnier, but there were a few times where I was like, oh, again? Like, they just kept cutting back to them again after every sketch. Like, they used to use them for punchlines instead of for actual segments, and I feel like they were starting to do that a bit more in this batch.
I feel like the punchlines are more tied to what you're watching, though, than they had been. Or, like, the jokes are just of a higher quality. So I was less annoyed with them. And I kind of liked, to be reminded that you're in the theater as much as possible.
And I think it's more so that, and I don't think they did this in this batch, but the problem with them in the past was that they were using them as the punchline.
Yeah.
So the sketch would just kind of end. There wouldn't be a great joke to go out on.
Right.
And so they would rely on Statler and Waldorf to be the joke.
That's true. Yeah.
But I think you're right in saying that. I think this is better because they are commenting on what just happened as opposed to just being the only thing funny about the end of it.
And they kind of feel like they kind of feel real more. They have like a relationship, and they kind of have a little bit more personality than they did too, in my opinion.
Well, that the musical number we'll talk about is definitely helping them in that regard. It's worth noting this episode is not included on Disney Plus in Europe for some reason. The only thing I could guess is that there's a war scene that
with some kind of like World War I era German soldier looking guys.
Yeah, but it feels weird that like just mentioning that a war happened would like get it banned from Disney Plus. So maybe there's another like musical reason, like a song clearance thing, but for some reason you can't watch this one on Disney Plus in Europe.
This is like the most inoffensive episode of the Muppet Show that we've ever seen, I feel like. Except for the war thing, I guess is kind of not, but
yeah, John Denver, he's not an offensive man. He is someone that all moms can agree was great.
And he's someone who looks like all moms also, I would say.
That being said, while I do enjoy him throughout this episode, his cold open is of a formula that I don't typically enjoy, where it just a Muppet does something wacky and the guest looks at the camera and laughs of like, how did I end up here?
I hate that too, but he for some reason pulls it off. Nobody else pulls it off but him for some reason, because I feel like he kind of draws you in of like, I am just kind of a normal guy. This is weird as hell.
And there are a couple times throughout this episode where he legitimately loses it and starts laughing that I buy his joy. But I think this one felt a little bit more scripted joy to me. And it usually, like, I don't think it ever works for me in those cold opens where it's just celebrity going, what? And like looking at the camera.
Oh, like Leo Sayer. His was the worst of all. He really Jimmy Fallon'd it through his episode.
In the opening theme song, we see Gonzo blow his own head off.
That was a good one. I
Yeah.
like that.
And then he peeks in from the side, laughing
He's
maniacally.
fine, folks. He's okay.
And then we get the war number we mentioned a little bit ago, where they are doing an anti-war version of Why Can't We Be Friends?
Yeah.
Featuring seemingly every time period of war.
British guys, German guys, Crazy Harry, just like
Yeah,
indiscriminately killing
all
everyone.
time periods, including the Crazy Harry era.
Crazy Harry seems to be some kind of like soldier of fortune or just a crazy man.
I mean, we've seen him hired, I think, by some Civil War generals before to blow things up. So
to help them with the cannon practice or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's fine. It's a fine opening number.
It's extremely elaborate, which I liked. And to think about how many explosions and stuff they had going on, that's cool. But it's just kind of fine.
And I think that, I think this batch of episodes kind of falls into that category of they're, for the most part, again, Shields and Yarnell is maybe a different case, kind of like general, fine Muppet Show. I think this is a great introductory episode if you're watching season 4 and you're like, let's check out this. There's nothing in here that I'd say like, oh God, don't watch that episode. It's terrible.
Right.
But there's nothing in here that I'm like in love with.
Mm-hmm. It would be a good first episode of the Muppet Show for somebody though. Like you kind of get to know all the characters, and everybody knows who John Denver is, or well, at least they do now. Maybe that's generationally going away. But do you remember when he died?
I do. I remember it just being like a well-known enough thing that I don't think I knew much about John Denver before that.
Yeah.
But when that happened, I remember it being a big deal. And then it's also referenced in Final Destination, which really drove it home for me.
Weird.
He's sitting in the airport bathroom, and they start playing a John Denver song on the radio. And that's when it was like his first pings that something is wrong, is that they're playing a John Denver song in the airport.
I never watched that movie. I'm too scared of it.
That's fair. I loved that movie as a kid for some reason. When it came out, one of my very first internet memories is I had that on DVD, and one of the DVD ROM features was that you could read the script for Final Destination. And so I printed out all 120 pages of the script off of this DVD ROM and used up all of our ink cartridges and made my parents mad for a script that I was obviously never going to actually read.
Yeah. What would that script even be?
I remember it opens up with like an oscillating fan blows the curtains to the side kind of thing.
Boy.
I think that's as far as I got.
Okay. Worth it.
Totally worth it. The like $40 of ink I probably used to print that script.
So they're going camping, which also brings up a point to me that it does feel like they have taken a lot from the Muppet movie. They mention the swamp so many freaking times in these episodes that they never used to mention as much. And all the characters feel like a little bit more like tight-knit or something to me now.
Well, and Gonzo has his cute little vest from the Muppet movie as well.
Is that his plumber outfit?
Yeah, it's the same outfit he's wearing in the Muppet movie. So I think I think you're right. There is something more solidified about these characters and the way they're acting as a group.
And Piggy and Kermit seem to be in a relationship here, too, like they were at the Emmys. Like, Kermit is not uncomfortable. Like, Piggy's like, oh, we're going to be alone at night. And Kermit doesn't go, oh, yeesh. He just goes, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, I don't think it's like fully established yet that they are any sort of relationship, but it definitely, I think
he is
you're right.
amenable to it now, I believe.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. But she definitely seems more eager about this overnight trip.
Yeah.
We then get just a cute little garden song performance from John Denver, who's just, singing in a garden. And this is apparently a song the Muppets really love because it'll show up in a few more of their projects.
I don't like this song. I had to sing it in a school play when I was in grade school.
Oh,
and
really?
It's just stuck with me ever since, yeah.
Inch by inch, row by row.
Yeah. I played a weed.
Oh.
I was the bad guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's you don't want that in a garden.
No.
Did they have to
out.
Yeah, did they have to somebody come by and pull you out? And...
I don't remember how we are defeated, but there
was this like a whole play?
Yeah.
Of a garden?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Was it all different songs about plants?
Uh-huh.
What other songs were involved?
No idea. I just remember my part. And I was in a fugue state the entire time. I had a big green leafy outfit on. It was like To Kill a Mockingbird, like she has that big wacky costume on. I had like leafy green costume and sunglasses. And Matt, I'm not lying when I tell you we rapped. We were rapping weeds.
So what song was that though?
It was just a song made up.
Oh. Okay.
It was like, we're the weeds. We're really mean. Something like that. I'm sure my mom remembers. There could be video of it for all I know. I hope there's not.
I have video of me being a T-Rex in a Christmas play.
Why?
It was a time-traveling Christmas play where Santa and his reindeer accidentally time-traveled back to prehistoric times.
Okay.
And I was the main villain of the piece.
Did you get a present in the end, though?
Yes, they win me over with gingerbread cookies.
Terrific.
Yeah, I am I am the big bad. I had the most lines besides Santa. And Santa drops in and all these dinosaurs are like, oh, Santa, we love you. Da, da, da. And all of a sudden from the side of the stage, you hear a little 6-year-old Matt go, rawr.
Oh, that's cute.
And I start stomping in my T-Rex costume. And they're all like, oh no, here he comes. And they sing a whole song about Tyrannosaurus Rex. And my only part of that whole song is every time they say Tyrannosaurus Rex, I go, rawr.
That's adorable.
Yeah, I have that on video. It's great.
Well, we'll upload all this to YouTube.
Yeah, it's all very... I mean, my mom made a costume that looks sort of Muppety. There's a big foam tail for my dinosaur.
Uh-huh. I had a dinosaur costume when I was a kid, too. I wore it all the time. Anyway, John Denver. They go camping. Andy Sue comes back. Kermit's a little creepy, but not too creepy with her.
Yeah, he uses Annie Sue to persuade Piggy, I think.
Yeah.
Because
Yes, a flip of their usual dynamic. He is not earnestly going after Annie Sue. He's just trying to get Piggy jealous.
Yeah, at least that's the way it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Because he tells Piggy that she has to carry a heavy backpack, and she's like, fuck that. I'm not carrying anything. And so then he flirts with Annie Sue a little bit, and Piggy steals Floyd's backpack to show, look, I can carry a heavy backpack. And
she's the strongest Muppet. Of course she can carry a heavy backpack.
She also does then completely destroy Annie Sue with that backpack.
Yeah.
The Swedish chef is on theme this episode, cooking outside on a fire. He's already apparently at the campsite, maybe? Like he went ahead of everyone else?
Yeah, or he just already had this planned for some reason.
Yeah, because they end up, spoiler alert, not going camping in this episode.
No.
Everyone doesn't want to go, besides Kermit and John are apparently going to go. But
I suppose
Swedish
they
chef,
go, yeah.
Yeah, Swedish chef went ahead, but then he gets revenanted. Because he is cooking outside and wants to make squirrel stew, and very cutely tries to shake the tree to get some squirrels down to cook squirrel stew. But the squirrels bite him. He tries to chase them, and instead gets chased by a bear with a meat cleaver.
With a cleaver.
who
That is
not
very cute.
who not only chases him off with a meat cleaver, but then makes fun of him and speaks some mock Swedish.
Yeah. The little gibberish language they speak to each other, the bear and the squirrels, is very adorable. The bear's just helping the squirrels out. He's a buddy.
Yeah, he's nice and protective of his fellow forest friends.
Swedish Chef does something at the beginning where he puts his arms out, though, and he's just a big flat rectangle man.
Yeah,
it's so creepy.
That shirt just like opens up like a tent.
Yeah.
Like he could just like jump out of a plane and parachute down.
Yeah.
Like he has no body under that sheet. It's just
No, it's
hands
scary.
that float like a ghost, and then his weird big furry head. Then we have a bunch of cool fungus Muppets
These are
showing up
great.
to talk with John Denver and Gonzo, who are just wearing all of the denim I think that was available in 1979.
Gonzo's looking very stylish
Yes.
now, which is a trend that will continue. He'll go back to his regular outfit in the next couple episodes, but he's looking great here.
Yeah, but we have John Denver wearing a denim shirt and some jeans, and we have Gonzo wearing the same with a blue vest, and
Yeah.
he is also blue. So, like, just most of that scene is just a denim color.
It's amazing, and they don't even reference the fact that they're dressed the same, which they should.
Yeah, John Denver should ask Gonzo, like, "Hey, who's your vest guy? I could use a new vest." And yeah, this basically just gives John Denver an excuse to make a lot of fungal puns.
Pretty good ones, too.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're funny.
Nobody knows the truffles I've seen.
Yeah, Gonzo's very into fungus in this episode. He mentions a mildew conference earlier. That's his excuse to not go camping in the swamp, which I guess was not a lie. He just loves them.
Yeah, he says he has the world's biggest mold garden, so he is the Egon Spengler of
I was
the,
going to
of the
say, him and
Muppets.
Egon can be friends.
Yeah, just hanging out with their spores, molds, and fungus.
Yeah. If the Ghostbusters saw a Muppet, they'd shoot it with their beam.
They just think Kermit's a new Slimer.
Yeah, just a more svelte Slimer.
Oh man, a Ghostbusters Muppets mashup would be great.
That would be pretty good.
I can't
Just
decide.
have 3 humans and the 1 Muppet on the team, and they're hunting Muppet ghosts or something like that.
And I think Gonzo's a good one to put in there.
Yeah.
You could do that now. Harold Ramis isn't around. Just have Gonzo be the new Egon.
Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, just inexplicably. Yeah, what are you going to say? Your arms are up again.
Egonzo.
Yes.
It's right there. It's already.
It's right
it's written for us,
there.
Sam. It's
Yeah.
Egonzo.
Gonzo. Oh, boy.
Then
Glad
we-
to be back on the Muppet Show where we can talk about just truly nonsense because
No, these are
what
those
are
$1
we
million
supposed to be?
idea. This is $1 billion idea, Sam. We're gonna rejuvenate the Muppets and
Yeah.
Ghostbusters all at once.
I think in this episode we've had 3 million or 3 billion, depending, worth of ideas.
Who even needs a Patreon? We got billions of dollars rolling in soon.
Yes.
But then we get a UK spot, which for me, the really only highlight of this Piggy singing number is a very cool tree puppet that she ends up running
Yeah.
into.
He's a McDonald's land style looking guy. His tongue.
That's
is-
exactly what he looks like.
He looks like the apple pie trees. you know?
Yep. You're 100% right.
But his tongue is just no good. I don't know why they gave him such a big tongue.
He's got a little bit of like Jabba the Hutt energy
Yeah.
going on
He's
there.
like licking his big lip. Blah, blah, blah. And it seems like whoever's controlling him cannot control that tongue. It's just like, and that person is thinking, why did we put this big tongue in him?
Maybe it's 2 different people. Like someone's operating the mouth and eyes, and then
tongue-
somebody else
the
is the
tongue
tongue
guy.
guy, and he's just like,
Just-
"Bleh, I gotta stand out. I gotta show that I'm worth it.
Yeah, he's an intern or something.
Fine, you can work the tree tongue, I guess. I'm gonna show off. I'm gonna show them they hired me for a reason.
Get called into Jim's office. So we have to talk about the tree tongue.
Yeah, less tongue action next time. Then we get what maybe should have been the UK
I
spot
was
in this
gonna say
episode.
the same thing. Yeah.
We have 3 pigs hiking up a mountain and then falling to their death.
They're singing that da-da-dee, da-da-da. Maybe the song that plays in The Price is Right when that little guy's going up the mountain. I'm not sure. Yeah.
But yeah, not much happens other than pigs falling to their death. And then at the
Yeah.
end, a goat laughs at them. And it's clearly Frank Oz because it's just Bert's laugh.
It's Bert's laugh. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, does sound like more like a goat than it does a yellow man who lives on a street.
Well, yeah, this one's kind of creepy too because they really do die. And the pig who doesn't, like the last pig standing, speaking of Final Destination, come on, the last pig standing is like terrified as he's climbing up the rest of the mountain in kind of like a off-putting way. and then he gets crushed by rocks.
I feel like there's been a few times now where the only time I ever actually fear for Muppet safety is when they're climbing a mountain. Like, we've seen them climbing and falling off mountains before. We've seen them getting rolled over by boulders before. We saw it on Sesame Street. I think Grover.
Yeah, Maria and
Maria and David, I think, are climbing a mountain.
Grover was climbing a mountain as a caveman and gets rolled over by a big... Yeah.
Anytime there's a mountain involved with Muppets, they are going to die.
Maybe something bad with a mountain happened to Jerry Jewell. He's very scared of mountains.
Hates mountains.
Yeah.
Then we get a delightful little scene with Miss Piggy and John Denver backstage in John's dressing room, where this is when Piggy is showing off her gold lame backpack that she's super ready for camping. And
she
John
does look great.
Oh, yeah. Not necessarily ready for camping, which John notices and starts to give her some swamp survival tips, including that you got to shake out your shoes because spiders might be in there, and there might be snakes in your sleeping bag. There's alligators, which leads to a delightful moment where Piggy says alligators.
Alligators?
Exactly the way Kermit does in the Muppet movie.
It must just have been something they said a bunch of times on the set, I bet.
But yeah, John Denver completely loses it because as he's describing these heinous things, Piggy just starts letting out these little whines of concern. And it becomes too much for John Denver, and he cracks up.
Genuinely losing it. It's great.
And at the very end, Piggy scrambles to run out and gets briefly stuck on John Denver's guitar.
Oh, yeah, I was worried about it because that guitar looks expensive.
Well, also, Piggy's probably expensive.
That too. But you can sew Piggy.
Can't fix a guitar.
Impossible.
And when Piggy runs out, she is so scared by the idea of a swamp, she runs into Kermit and tells him, "There's no way I'm going on you with this, going with you on this trip, because the swamp sounds like the worst place in the freaking world." And then he's like, "Yeah, well, you grew up in a sty, so you're a freaking pig. Shut up." Which obviously, leads to her karate
leads
chopping.
to a chopping. Yep.
And the closing number of this episode is Grandma's Feather Bed, a song that sounds straight out of Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. But it's just John Denver and like 12 Muppets hanging out in a giant bed, while John Denver, as his own grandma, yells at him from the doorway.
Oh, man, I loved Grandma John Denver, because he looks like a freaking grandma. They don't have to even dress him up that much.
No, there's not much different between John Denver grandma and John Denver normal.
No. John Denver also has the biggest mouth I've ever seen on a human being.
I think he's like a Muppet, but like specifically one of the Paul Williams replica Muppets.
Oh, yeah.
As a person.
Yes.
Like, you'd think that if you took one of them and turned it into a person, it would become Paul Williams. But because of the Uncanny Valley thing there, I think if you take one of the Paul Williams replica Muppets and turn it into a person, it becomes this John Denver.
50% of the time it's John Denver, 50% of the time it's Paul Williams. They should have made him a Muppet. I would have liked to see the return of that tradition just for him.
Hell, they could have just reused the Paul Williams one.
He would have known,
just
though.
Added some denim.
Yeah. I thought this was a pretty fun one because he's like, they're all in the bed and he's like crawling around on the bed. So it's kind of fun to think about what that bed is. And one of the Muppets looks just like my wife in this as well.
I did not notice that. I'll have to go back and rewatch it and be like, which one does Sam think is Rachel?
You'll know instantly. The one that looks like Rachel.
I was just noticing. The only thing I noticed was that there was a really cool new dog puppet featured in like the bottom left corner of the bed that pops up, I think, later on in the Linda Lavin episode, I think, as well. But I had never seen it before, so it must be new for season 4.
Every season, you got to get a new dog,
which I'm on board with.
Oh, did you star rate this episode?
Oh, yeah, I did. We forgot to talk about that.
Yeah.
What'd you give it?
I gave it 3.5.
I also gave it exactly 3.5 stars, Sam.
I don't know if that really deserves 3.5, but it was a pretty solid episode, and I kind of liked being back with the Muppets.
It's a joyful episode where nothing stands out that much, I think is the way to describe this one. There's a lot of fun times. It's a good episode to watch, but there's nothing in here that's really going to stick with me as far as like my memories of the Muppet Show.
Yeah, I think you're right to be worried about the season because it does feel like some of the edges have been like sanded off of the Muppets, like the rough parts, for better and for worse. Yeah. But we'll see.
But yeah, the episode wraps up with John Denver even scaring Kermit out of this camping trip because he's describing that they're going to basically hunt frogs when they get down the swamp, which I think
John doesn't want to go camping.
Maybe he's
he
trying
instantly
purposely.
Regretted inviting them. Yeah.
But we learn the origin of Kermit's eye shape. He claims that the reason his eyes look the way they do is because of the flashlights that the hunters shine at the frogs, seemingly to stun them into.
Is that what it is?
I think the idea is that you shine them with a flashlight to scare them, and then you bop them on the head and kill them.
Okay. I think there were more frogs in the 70s, I feel like. So maybe people were more familiar with how frog hunting worked or something.
There were more frogs, and then they killed them all in their hunts, and then no frogs in the 80s but Kermit.
John Denver is the most prolific frog serial killer of all time.
The next episode of The Muppet Show we watched was on September 27th, 1979, the Linda Lavin episode. What did you rate this one, Sam?
I rated this one 5 stars.
Wow.
I liked this one a lot.
Wow. I gave it 3.5 because I feel like it is a missed opportunity for a great idea.
Oh, okay. I thought they pulled it off pretty well, but I'm interested now to see what you were so picky about.
You might talk me into a 4. We'll see.
Okay.
Everyone thinks it is Kermit's birthday. And this is, once again, I was distracted by the opening theme song being different.
Yeah, it sucks so bad.
Yeah, this time I clocked some of the random Muppets they've included to sing the opening lines, and it is the Swedish Chef, Mildred, Link.
Lydia, the tattooed lady, is one of them.
Is she there too?
I think so.
But Blue Frackle's there, Janice, George the janitor still in there for some reason,
okay.
And Sam the Eagle. We also see what I believe is season 1 Gonzo popping up again in the opening. It almost looks like a completely different Gonzo that we've never seen. He has very, very light blue eyelids. And season 1 Gonzo had blue eyelids, but they weren't this light, like baby blue color. And I don't remember enough of season 1 Gonzo's like opening bits to remember if this one is one of those just reused.
It could be a weird color treatment issue with like whatever compositing they were doing or something like that.
Maybe. But yeah, I feel like this is a version of Gonzo we don't see anywhere else besides in this episode and the Shields and Yarnell episode. He has weird baby blue eyelids.
Kind of like the weird Sweetums that we never see anywhere else that doesn't have any eyelids.
Yeah, he just bug eyes the entire time. But as you mentioned, Kermit plans on opening the show with Zuzu Fitzwaller, a Muppet who is eternally crying.
Yeah, he's got little sparkles on the sides of his eyes.
Yeah, so he always has to be sad because his Muppet is built that way.
Yeah, he's creepy, but I'm kind of like, there's something very interesting about him. And I kind of loved him throughout this episode. He's so pathetic.
Yeah. He even like pleads to his wife who's
screaming
watching.
To his wife from the stage.
Yeah. He is just the Count, though.
That's true.
His voice is just Jerry Nelson doing his Count voice.
Yeah. We get Gladys the cow in this one, too, I think.
Yes, we do. I don't think it's an official Gladys the Cow appearance, but it is.
She lives in New York there, and they're in New York, as I've proven, I've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they live in New York. So Kermit just got Gladys to come by.
That's the friend he picks from Sesame Street to drop on by.
Yeah. Well, she's a performer.
Yeah, but he knows a lot of other cool people at Sesame Street.
That's true.
But yes, Piggy says, no. We cannot have Mr. Fitzwaller on this show. We are going to do your birthday celebration, which includes the opening number, Be a Frog, which is a parody of Be a Clown, which is an old Cole Porter song. And we get a lot of disturbing Kermitized Muppets. We get a cow, a horse, and a bunch of pigs who have Kermit eyes on them.
Eyes and collars, and it's nasty.
Presumably, there are the old Frog Prince frog friends here as well, because we get a chorus of frogs singing.
I feel like he knows those guys because they were in the Muppet Valentine's Day special too. They were like his backup crew.
Yeah, they were the ones in the piano.
Those are his boys.
Yeah, there's these old friends from home that he promised if whoever gets famous first, we have to promise that we will hire them for our stuff.
Yeah, there is what's that turtle and not the animal turtle, the guy turtle.
Dana Carvey.
Entourage. There's Entourage, not Dana Carvey. Come on,
I thought you were going for turtle.
No. He is a guy turtle, but
yes.
not him.
Entourage turtle. Yes.
Yeah.
This is the Muppet Entourage.
One of them frogs is named Turtle.
That's got to be very confusing at the swamp. Oh, here comes Turtle. Oh, that's a frog.
Okay.
But yeah, the Kermit eyes on animals that aren't green, very unsettling. To me, it looks like a curse.
Yes, that too.
Like they were zapped and then suddenly their eyes just changed and they were traumatized now. They can't actually see that well. But we get I think a couple actually references to the Frog Prince.
That's what I was thinking too. I rewinded those parts a couple times just to see.
Yeah, during this opening number, Robin sings a verse about being a prince. And this is, it feels more like Frog Prince Robin than it does Nephew Robin from the Muppet Show in that moment.
Yeah.
And then we get to see Mr. Dawson, Kermit's old acting coach.
Oh my God, I love this part.
It's very, very good. I do
well,
like.
Wait, now, was there something you didn't like about Be a Frog? I don't understand your star rating yet.
For me, it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't charm me that much. I didn't love it.
I thought it was sweet because they're doing something nice for their friend.
That's true. They never do that.
No.
They never do anything nice for Kermit. They usually are
No.
trying to undermine him at all opportunities.
To
But
be fair, he's a piece of shit, but he's
I think-
turned over a new leaf.
I think part of what makes this episode a lower rating for me is that I feel like the guest is not used very well.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Like Linda Lavin is not really in this episode that much, and when she's there, it either feels like she's just added on to something that was going to happen anyways,
Uh-huh.
or she sings a random song that I didn't really enjoy.
That's accurate. I felt like she was genuinely honored to be in the episode about Kermit's birthday. Maybe she wasn't really, but she did seem like she was into it to me.
To me, it felt a little bit like the Marisa Berenson episode where she is there while this wedding plot is happening. And at the end, we just get to see her like standing off on the side of the stage,
Yeah,
not even being a part of the wedding sketch.
that's true. Yeah,
And so I think I just felt like they could have used Linda Lavin a little better because like even in the Marisa Berenson episode, we at least get the creepy dollhouse.
oh yeah, she doesn't
sketch.
really get a thing that's just her own. That's true.
No, she gets a number with the Electric Mayhem, but she also isn't like Elton John or somebody like that we're like, oh
No.
my God, I can't wait to see them sing. So, yeah, I think just for me, I think the guest is really what brought this down. And it's not her fault. It's the show's fault
Mhm.
for the way they framed her. But I do think this acting coach thing is amazing because Mr. Dawson, the acting coach, we learn the origin of Kermit's yay, that apparently it's just maybe something his acting teacher was like, when in doubt, yay it up.
Yeah, it's like the only way that he knows how to act anyway.
Yeah. This is also confirmation that Kermit is from Leland, Mississippi, which is where
Yeah.
Jim Henson is at least born, or I think raised, not born. But if you go to Leland, Mississippi, if you happen to be driving through, there is a museum there that you can visit called the Birthplace of the Frog, an exhibit of Jim Henson's Delta boyhood.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
This episode also came out right around Jim Henson's real birthday.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So maybe they were like subliminally, I can't say that word, celebrating Jim Henson's birthday.
I like that you didn't go back and try to do it better.
No, I know I can't. I know my limits.
Yeah, and I also like that it kind of feels like they're making fun of him. Like they're making fun of Jim specifically in some of these parts, especially with the acting coach, where it's who's the guy who plays Scooter? Whoever that guy is.
Richard Hunt.
Yeah, Richard Hunt is doing his Kermit impression, and it's very fun.
Yeah, I like whenever you get to hear other puppeteers perform like almost a parody of another Muppet. We've heard that a few times of other people doing like a Fozzie voice or like when the Pigs took over the show. We got to hear a lot of that. And then we get to see that previously mentioned Linda Lavin performing with the Electric Mayhem, performing The More I See You.
I don't really actually even remember this.
Exactly, Sam. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It seems, I don't know. This is maybe harsh. It had big mom energy to me.
Yeah.
Like this was like mom had a sip of a cocktail and decided to get up and do some karaoke. And like,
I mean, our moms probably learned how to be cool from people like this, you know?
yeah. And I think like that is not a knock against Linda Lavin. I think it's the song that they
Or
gave her.
moms.
Yeah. Sorry for the moms that are listening. You are cool. I promise. But it's just, I don't know Linda Lavin's history of performing enough to know if she was regularly a musician, if she sang.
She's a Broadway
lot.
star.
That's true. I guess you're right.
Yeah. I think she was mostly a singer.
Yeah. All right. You're right. I don't know. I think something was just off about this to me. Maybe it was the song choice.
I
Maybe
think
it
the
was,
song is just kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
I mean,
it's-
it was good to see the Electric Mayhem again because we haven't, I feel like we haven't seen them much. But
yeah. But this was staged like it was like a contemporary like 70s number, but it's a song from 1945.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. So I'm just confused at the song choice and the way they framed that whole number.
Yeah, and there's nothing Kermity about it either. Like, there's frog backup singers, but I don't know.
True.
They
It does
could've-
go against the theme of this episode.
Yeah, it's like a song dedicated to Kermit, I think, but But yeah.
And then we get to see a terrifying image. The Swedish chef is preparing a chopped liver tribute to Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
It's truly unhinged and
It's
very
not
odd.
good. It's not good at all.
It flops around in a really gross way where you can just imagine that it's actually chopped liver
And
stacked
it
in a frog shape.
stinks.
Oh,
It looks
yeah.
like it stinks.
It looks like it smells like cat food. Yeah, Linda Lavin is there to help the Swedish chef out a little bit, pointing out that not only did he not give this Kermit eyes, but it's also not green. It's a pale, like pinkish brown meat color.
And then so he spray paints it, and it's nasty in kind of a way that I found admirable. And I found like maybe I want all the Swedish chef things to be to this degree of nastiness.
Like he's just, instead of more like violence, he's more unsettling.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, haha, okay, dude, walking away.
Yeah. And the theater just stinks after he's done with all of his acts.
There's just meat piles everywhere. He just like he gets in a meat phase this season. Then we have a number that I'm again surprised was tossed into a UK spot.
Yeah.
We get Robin and the Frogs singing "Frog Kissin'."
Mm-hmm. It's very cute. I like Robin officially now.
We've done it. We've come full circle on this podcast.
Yeah.
I think our very first episode, you talk about how much you hate Robin.
Yeah, and now I really like Jerry Nelson, and I really like Robin.
It took like a full year, a full calendar year.
I was a
you.
fool.
But now we have cute little Robin singing "Frog Kissin'." And again, another callback, I believe, to Frog Prince, because that's what the song is about.
They at least must have been thinking about it
Yeah.
while they were doing it.
It'd be very weird if they forgot they did that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put in my notes that I could watch this on a loop for 30 minutes and it'd be a fine episode of The Muppet Show.
That's accurate. It is extremely cute in a very charming way that Emmett Otter is. Like, you're kind of back in that world a little bit.
Yeah, which I feel like is something we didn't get a lot of in season 3 was like earnest, sweet performances. I feel like we were going for the joke a lot more, which isn't a problem. But it was something that I was just like missing, I think, a little bit.
You got to have a little bit of both.
Yeah. And Robin shows up next in the veterinarian's hospital sketch.
He's got a bit of an attitude on him, though.
Yeah, he seems more like the bratty nephew now, again.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rolf forgets that Robin is Kermit's nephew.
Yeah.
And
he pulls like a scooter-ish kind of like, I'm going to tell my uncle about this.
Yeah, which, I'm fine with Robin being an annoying little nephew. That feels right up his alley.
That's all right.
But he's like not that Scooter isn't talented, but he's like a slightly more talented version of the annoying nephew.
He's got the like, who's the little curly-haired girl who tap dances?
Shirley Temple?
Yeah, he's got the Shirley Temple energy, where Scooter is more like a washed-up teen star who everybody's kind of like, we don't need him anymore.
Yeah, Robin is the Shirley Temple, whereas Scooter is like the Disney Channel star who's turning 30. And it's like, well, yeah, you're still on that show. What are you doing?
You're still trying to be cute. Why are you trying to be cute still?
Why are you trying to behave like you're 16? It's weird. Get out of here. And then we get a delightful number that I would have sworn was the UK spot had I not looked it up beforehand.
I thought the same thing. I'm surprised it wasn't.
Because it's very weird, but sincere and good, but also very weird.
Yeah.
You mentioned this earlier, so you want to... what are your thoughts on Statler and Waldorf singing "It Was a Very Good Year"?
This is the peak of Statler and Waldorf. They're pretty good when they're Marley and Marley in the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
but this is it's such a well used song, and their jokes are really funny when they're talking about like, when I was 85, my rheumatism came back. It's funnier than that in the show, but it's just like really charming, and it's nice to see them kind of have a nice connection with each other.
Yeah, we do, learn as they go through their ages in this that Statler has had at least 3 wives.
Yeah.
And that they are at least 75 years old.
Yeah, they're much older than that, I would assume from.
Right. They reminisce about being 74.
They're reminiscing about how good it was when they were 74, yeah. I just feel like it gives them, casts them in a new light. And it's sad. It's like genuinely sad. I got a little bit like misty about it for some reason.
Yeah, I could see this being a thing that maybe unfortunately won't come back. Like we won't see another moment like this, because I could see an average Muppet Show viewer going, what the hell was that about? Because these are 2 characters who we only normally see as the dudes heckling from the balcony. Yeah. And to watch them genuinely talk to each other and reminisce about the good old days was very sweet. but so out of character for the show and for them that I could easily see it going away.
Yeah, you do. I feel like when we get glimpses behind them, in their pasts, it's like they're always very interesting, like much more interesting than other characters' glimpses, like when they fall in love or when they, I don't know, they're very complex.
Yeah, I think it's the Valerie Harper episode where Statler falls in love with her and wants to like basically propose marriage to her and brings her a plant and all this stuff. And
dated that Barrymore guy, right?
Yeah,
He talks about that too.
Yes, Lionel Barrymore. And so yeah, I think I love anytime we peel back the curtain and see a little bit more of Statler and Waldorf. I'm just afraid we won't be seeing as much as we are hoping for. But guess who's back, Sam?
Wayne and Wanda.
Wayne and Wanda have returned.
Yeah, and they talk about how they were fired from the show. I think it's weird that they don't mention, like they just pretend that Wayne hasn't been on a bunch of times since then.
So my theory is, and spoiler alert, Wayne and Wanda are our Muppets of the Week.
Okay.
I don't think Wayne has told Wanda.
That occurred to me as I was saying it. I was like, he has been sneaking onto the show.
Yes, I think they got fired, and then Kermit called Wayne and was like, actually, do you guys want to come back? And he was like, well, what if I just come back? And he's like, yeah, sure, half the pay. And he's just been telling Wanda he's joined a bowling league or something.
Yeah, he's got to go work his manual labor job.
Yeah. Wanda does say it's been 26 months since the day they fired them. It's been 30 months, I'd say, actually, if we're getting into, pedantry here. And because it's been 30 months since they last filmed with Wanda. Like the production dates of the previous time we saw Wanda and this episode has been 30 months. And it's also been 30 months since that last episode aired and this one is airing. So...
Well, they were close.
Oh, yeah. Surprisingly closer than I thought. Like, I thought the 26 months was just something they threw out there and was like, I don't know, it's probably 8 months or 60 months, something. But 30 months, not 26 months. So, close enough. And, worth noting that Wanda in this is performed by Kathy Mullen as opposed to Aaron Oscar, because Aaron Oscar at this point has left the Muppet Show.
Gone.
Yeah, so slightly different performance. But again, we'll talk more about that later on.
I love these guys, though. I thought this was a great little thing to have in this episode.
Well, and it seems like something that you would, see more of today in like the world of Muppets, where we are acknowledging the past history of these shows and bringing back guests in a way that normally they'll just toss George the janitor or Mildred or like Hilda in the background of a sketch, and it's not a
like
thing.
They never left.
Right. Whereas, like, this is the first time we're seeing them reckon with some of their history that I really like. It almost feels like this opens the door for other things like this. Like, hell, bringing like Harry the Hipster or Sam from Sam and Friends onto this.
I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I did expect somebody like that to pop up.
I was kind of hoping that it might happen where Jimmy Dean shows up to like be like, I remember old Ralph and Kermit, my old friends. Like,
it's sad he'll never show up again, I don't think, probably. But
no, we only get to see minor references in photos of him and Ralph together in Ralph's bar in the 2015 series, which is very sweet that Ralph acknowledges that, but very sad that we never get to see him with Muppets again.
But this was a fun little thing, and I love that he runs back out and fires them again.
Yeah, he decides to rehire them because he feels bad, and they immediately start performing, and he immediately regrets it and fires them. And then it's time for the closing number, and Piggy's nervous, and Linda Lavin slaps some sense into her.
And her slap is weird because it sounds like slapping flesh, which to me just landed very strangely. I don't think of Piggy as being made of flesh.
Yeah, it's sort of like when they put clapping noises in for Muppets, when it just sounds like two pillows beaten together if you actually just had the sound. But
that never occurred to me.
Yeah. So now you have to think about it. You have to think about the fact that in this world, there is some flesh on Piggy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can imagine that. That's no problem at all.
Yeah, you've got a helpful calendar on your wall to see as much flesh as possible.
Oh, boy. So she blows the ass out of her dress, I assume. I thought we'd see her springy little tail, but we do not.
Yeah, I don't think that happens until the 2015 series.
The new show, yeah.
And the closing number is the giant Muppet Cake, where Linda Lavin's singing and then a bunch of Muppets. And what I had to imagine is a very difficult to pull off sequence join her, because there are Muppets walking up this series of ramps as Linda Lavin is walking down the same ramps.
She is kind of like elbowing them out of her way.
She literally like beats up Fozzie for a second. But yeah, I just imagining what this set looks like behind the scenes, where like you have to have puppeteers walking up some stairs or a ramp and then having
Yeah.
Linda Lavin walk down at the same time doesn't like compute in my brain, but
Uh-uh.
it all works out. It all looks great.
I love when they just like plop Kermit up on top of the cake too, and he just looks so embarrassed.
Well, and we find out why he's embarrassed at the very end of the episode because he reveals his birthday's actually in about 4 months.
Well, it's the thought that counts though. But I love this last act. It reminded me of the first season Muppet Show theme when they're standing on the big platform thing back in better times, for at least for the theme song.
Yeah, no, it did, and again, it's like sort of the Muppets working together, doing a big number is always
Yeah,
nice to see.
And it's a little shitty and they kind of mess up stuff a little bit, but they pull it off.
Yeah, they have Marvin Suggs there for some reason, unfortunately, but
No, we like Marvin now.
yeah, I know, but we don't need him around all the time. But yeah, I think in the end, I like the episode. I like parts of it. I like the high concept idea. Like anytime they do a Muppet Show episode that has a really high concept, I'm a fan of that. But I think Linda Lavin not being involved that much kind of brought it down for me. And I felt like it was just a few missed opportunities in being able to go a step further with some of those high concept ideas.
Sure. I feel like if I had been the guest, I would have been having a great time, and it seems like a very fun episode to be on.
That is true. I think that's the thing. It's like I think Linda Lavin seems to be having a fun time. I just don't think they gave her enough to do. But speaking of people that they gave a lot to do, it's Shields and Yarnell. This episode aired on October 4th, 1979 in New York. And yeah.
They do so much.
The first half of this episode is maybe one of my favorite first halves of an episode.
Okay.
It was so promising. I was so excited. And then it's like as soon as right after the Quango the Gorilla UK spot, it immediately nosedives into one of my least favorite episodes.
Okay, I could agree with what you're saying. The robots are fine. They go on too long, but they are fine.
Well, it was still like a novel idea at that time.
Yeah.
Like we get a little bit of the robot thing in the cold open, but then we get a full breakfast sketch that is apparently one of their things. And there
Yeah.
are moments in there that are like legitimately made me laugh out loud.
I'd rather have more robots than cowboys, though.
Yeah, let's get into this
All
episode
right.
so we can unfortunately get the cowboys out of the way.
Okay.
But Hilda is back in this episode, which is one thing to point out. She's in the audience at the very, very end during the circus number.
Yeah.
So it is not only Wayne and Wanda returning this week. We also see Hilda in the background.
They didn't can her ass.
But in the cold open, we have a little bit of robotics from Shields and Yarnell here. And I like that Scooter acknowledges the fact that someone weirder than them is finally on the show. And I was excited for that because I was, hoping the whole episode would be about how weird they are, almost like in a Moominshans kind of way.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It would have been more fun maybe if they had been robots the whole time or something.
yeah, and at the very end, they come out and they're just talking normal, and they're like, wait a minute, we thought you guys were robots. We fixed it. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And as soon as they give up some of their mime...
Once they start talking, it's all over.
Once they start talking, it immediately is far, far worse. So
Yeah.
the mime stuff works. You should probably stick with that. And then it's time for the opening number that Sam mentioned earlier. Definitely, I think, the highlight of this episode, where a bunch of birds are singing ABBA's Take a Chance on Me as they
And they're
bounce on
playing
some
the-
high wires.
They're like playing the wires like a piano or something like that, or like an instrument. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but it kind of looked like they were. And this just reminded me of like a something that they would have done on a late night show back in the day.
Yeah, because it's just showing off like technologically what they're able to do. Clearly, this is
Yeah.
on like a blue screen or something, but they've instead of just having like a black void behind them, they've replaced the screen with like a night sky and a city skyline. So
Yeah.
it's very convincing that these birds are just hopping around on some wires.
Yeah, it's wacky and yeah, it looks really cool. And the birds they're like lime green and interesting looking in a way that I've been just kind of missing on the Muppet Show.
And this kind of thing makes me think more about how, puppet rods are being removed in a lot of Muppet things these days. And things like this help me realize that I don't think that's inherently a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because they were doing clever things to try and hide the puppetry all the time on the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
And trying to hide the secrets from you. So I think like if they could have easily hidden puppet rods on the Muppet Show, it might have been a choice they made.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like the argument that it's like, oh, you're supposed to kind of see the rough edges in the performance, I think in a lot of ways is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that Jim would agree 100% of the time with that.
Right, like, because we've seen so many times when, like, Kermit or somebody is on a blue screen or something. In the Muppet movie, you get Fozzie and Kermit dancing in front of a blue screen to show their full bodies, and it's not like they kept in the secrets. Like, they try to convince you that those are real frogs and bears dancing around.
Yeah, I feel like Jim Henson would be like, oh, they took the puppet rods out. He'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
I wish I could have done that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that means that they should be going back and removing puppet
That's
rods
the weird part,
from things that had puppet rods. I think that's weirder. But I think going forward, to me, it makes sense that they remove them or hide them, whatever they want to do. I'm not
to go back and do
by
it just seems like a complete waste of time.
Yeah, and because it's not a thing where, like, people don't care that much about it. Like, it's very strange. But yeah, as you mentioned earlier throughout the episode, Fozzie is practicing his mime stuff. It's just kind of typical, like you said, just either ripping off Shields and Yarnell or doing super cliche mime things, which Kermit even calls him out on. That, like, a bear walking into the wind, a bear in a box. Woo, real original, Fozzie.
Yeah, and then the stuff he comes up with isn't that funny either. It's kind of like a low point for Fozzie, in my opinion. I usually like him much better than this.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think this might be a low point. And even though some other people on the show seem to find him funnier in this episode, he does end up bombing when he finally does his act on stage.
Yeah, he gets straight up booed.
Rightfully so. But we have the Shields and Yarnell breakfast robot sketch. I don't know how else you would describe that. But they're apparently known as the Clinkers. It's their famous robot thing they would do all the time. And it's basically, just two robots dancing around, doing their thing, trying to make breakfast and getting it on their heads and spilling it on their crotches and eventually like destroying the entire table.
Shit. Dressed like Gomez Addams for some reason.
Yeah, like Gomez Addams meets Prince, I would say, is what you get from
When
Shields
I would
here.
scroll past this one before we watched it, I did, in my back of my head, I always thought, Prince, wow.
Yeah, the Disney
Not
Plus little thumbnail is just a close-up of Shields' face when he's dressed like this, and it does give you some Prince energy.
Does Prince, is he on Muppets Tonight?
Yes, in a fantastic episode of Muppets Tonight.
Terrific.
But it's all right. There are a couple moments where Yarnell shoves her full face down into her cereal bowl. That made me laugh.
Yeah, there are no Muppets in it, though. So.
No, that is the bummer. And, later on, they'll do something similar in this episode where there's very few Muppets, and the Muppet we do get is Beauregard.
It's the worst Muppet. Yeah. So.
But the next time we see Shields and Yarnell in this episode is actually something that I think could have worked pretty well. At this point, I'm still on board with them being on the show because they're back in their dressing room, and Gonzo comes in to ask for some suggestions for what he should do for his act because he sees kindred spirits here in Shields and Yarnell. He knows, hey, we're all weird. You can help me out.
There are a few times with weird guest stars where we get a little glimmer of this. Like, this could be an episode where someone and Gonzo are collaborating on something that doesn't ever pan out. But I wish it would one of these times, that they would, like, plan a big act together or something.
Yeah, someone who's truly weird and can, like, highlight Gonzo's weirdness as opposed to just, like, suggesting something or building him up a little bit, and then he runs off and does his own thing. But in this, Shields and Yarnell are sort of miming things for him to do, and Shields is clearly miming that he should play piano. And Gonzo says, yes, perfect, great.
Okay, I thought he was on a typewriter.
Oh, no, because he does a thing where he stands up and he, like, sets a bench down, and then he, like, flips out his tails for his, like, fancy man tuxedo, and then he sits down and he starts playing the piano.
I thought he was loading paper into a typewriter.
I think he was like readying his music sheet.
Yes, that makes sense now.
But Gonzo mistakes this, much as Sam did, thinking that Shields was massaging a snake.
Perfectly reasonable thing for Gonzo to do.
Exactly, and he runs out excited to work on his massaging a snake act, presumably. And Shields and Yarnell look at the camera and say, massaging a snake?
A snake? And that's the beginning of the end for them.
But if that had been the only thing they say...
Yeah.
Let the mimes get one line.
It does feel like that's what they're going for with that. Because everybody laughs, too. It feels like, well, these mimes can't fucking believe it. They're going to talk. They're so shocked. But that is not what happens.
No, because that's what... So, a few years before this, 1976, Mel Brooks's silent movie, it's called Silent Movie. The only thing spoken in that entire movie is when his character, who's a director, calls Marcel Marceau, the famous mime, and asks him if he wants to be in the movie. And then audibly you hear Marcel Marceau turn him down, like yells no into the phone. And that's the only thing you hear in that entire movie.
Funny. Marcel Marceau trained Shields.
Well, and another Mel Brooks connection, Yarnell would play the robot
Dot
part.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Joan Rivers would be the voice of Dot Matrix, but the robot part was played by Yarnell.
Because if you need someone to be a robot, gotta go with Shields and Yarnell.
It's like, who's the famous robots? I also feel like I can't think of any specific instances, but I feel like Shields and Yarnell were like one of those people like you just heard referenced on other things.
I feel like they were. I didn't look into this. In my head, they reference him on Family Guy, and for some reason, that to me is like why I know that name. But you're right. It is like a name that gets thrown out when people are like making jokes about duos or like something. But I think there could be a Family Guy reference of Shields and Yarnell.
It feels like there's multiple times in our childhoods we would have heard people refer to Shields and Yarnell as like a punchline for a joke, and I was like never understanding that as a kid, and now I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, I really couldn't figure out why they got famous, but I guess people just thought their robot stuff was really peachy.
Yeah, and it must have had sort of a meteoric rise to fame because they got married in 1972.
Yeah.
So they'd only been married for like 7 years at this point before they were hitting the big time. But yeah, then we have what I liked was a UK spot in this episode. It's Quango as a King Kong type climbing the Empire State Building. And it has a good use of special effects where there are a bunch of small windows in the building where they like downscaled footage of Muppets in windows.
So his backup singers are little Muppets in windows with little squeaky voices, which is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. But you didn't like this one.
I thought it was just kind of okay. I kind of got bored of it. Like, it should have had, like, planes flying around him that he was swatting at or something.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more action.
Like, a little static, yeah. Or I thought he'd, like, pull somebody out of the building and, like, do something or something like that. But
that would make sense if you had a little bit more King Kong touch to this.
Yeah, I kind of got it. Like, right at the beginning, I was just like, okay, I could just sing this for 4 seconds and be like, ha, it's over.
Well, little did you know, Sam, that the worst was yet to come.
If I could have gone back in time, I would have watched more Quango.
Because after this is the downfall.
Yeah.
We get Shields and Yarnell and Beauregard, the worst
nastiest
trio.
shit
The worst trio ever forced upon us, doing a cowboy sketch where they're cowboys.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
That's
their
the whole
fa-
joke.
They're like, their faces look so gross though. And it's not funny, but they're like being so, what kids would call cringe.
Oh,
this
yeah.
one was just so cringe.
This is the most cringe, which I feel like a lot of times the Muppets don't hit when they try Western humor. I feel like a lot of their like cowboy bar
The chicken
sketches.
Western was pretty bad.
Yeah, it's kind of a miss. But it was just, I don't know. It was odd that they just let them go on with this sketch for so long that is not a mime sketch because they're
No.
talking throughout it and it just has sound effects on top of their actions. So they don't have real
they're
guns.
Like miming actions, but not. But yeah.
And not like incredibly well. Like they're not doing things where I'm like, whoa, it looks like he's really on a horse.
I mean, if they weren't flipping card sounds, I would be like, what is he doing?
Yes, exactly. The sound effects help them a lot with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like they're not bringing nearly as much to the table as Moonshans brought with their miming.
Yeah. It's like something you go to like a improv show and they would do this act and you would just be pouring sweat because you were so secondhand embarrassed for them. That's what I would be like, at least. I would be like actively wiping my brow.
Yeah. Well, and like the moment it like turns in from the poker game to like a duel, you're like, oh, there's still more to this, huh? You're still...
This is only halfway done.
I feel like you could have stopped it at the poker game, but you decided that it needed to have another thing happening.
Yeah.
Weird choice.
I did like when he mime shot off Beauregard's hat.
Yeah, that was fine. But again, like they didn't
I
do
can't even
more
look at
of
that
that
little
thing.
picture of her face on Muppet Wiki.
Yeah,
It's so gross.
it's very
and
bad.
They have like dirt on their face. I mean, it's not puke. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it was a really, I was really enjoying this episode up until that moment.
Yeah.
And I literally stopped taking notes after this moment because it just
Oh no.
made me sad.
You were shocked.
Yeah, it was so bad. I just couldn't do it. But after
But
this,
then we get to see some old friends.
there are the Snurfs. They do come back. We haven't seen them in a very long time.
Uh-uh.
Maybe since the Herb Albert special. I think they
I
popped up early Muppet Show,
I
actually.
think they were in an early Muppet Show episode, yeah.
That's true. But yes, the Snurfs are back performing Little Brown Jug, and it's fine. It's
they're
Snurfs.
just doing their Snurf thing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing they can do, really.
They're hired for a reason.
Yeah. But yeah, nice to see him again. Nice to I was thinking back on the Mike Douglas show, and there's a Snurf in that one, you know?
Yeah.
Back when they looked a little different, and they had like the spider legs. And
Well, back when the
still the
Snurfs
head
were
going up.
maybe going to be a star because
Yeah, there was like a Snurf toy being made.
yeah, when they were first making some of the first Muppet toys, they were making a Kermit doll, a Rolf doll, and a Snurf doll. And they unfortunately never produced the Snurf one. But the fact
Yeah.
that those were the top 3 Muppets of the day,
They didn't think of another good Muppet for a really long time after they thought of Rolf and Kermit.
it took a few years until they were like, I don't know, a pig, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Eagle's pretty good. The Electric Mayhem are pretty good.
Yeah,
But-
the ones that show up in Sex and Violence were
Yeah.
a big step forward.
Yeah.
And then we see Fozzie bombing as predictable. Like, it's very predictable. You know, he was going to
Yeah.
bomb. He does his terrible mime act. And
Always nice
Yeah.
to see Fozzie with his set and da-na-na-na-na-na, but not the strongest outing of Fozzie. And he knows it too coming out. He knows he's fucked.
oh yeah, he does not have the confidence he normally exudes when he's doing his comedy act.
No, he needs a win.
But he does not get it here, and neither do we. As we move on to the closing number, which is just a circus where they perform, make him laugh, and Shields just does a bunch of animal impressions.
For a long time again. He's the gorilla for so long.
And in this, definitely felt like another improv show moment where it's like, all right, somebody yell at an animal. I'll be that animal
Yeah, he
for
literally
5 minutes.
does that.
Yeah. But, yep, not great. That's a big elaborate set they built for a really bad thing.
It's a cool set too. I like how it looks like it's like colored in with a big marker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's neat, and they're like, oh, you won't. It's called Make 'em Laugh, and they just do like a gorilla impression and then tap dance.
Yeah, I think the only sort of payoff that works at all in this is that they end up doing the feeding spaghetti to an elephant routine that Fozzie was talked out of doing because he didn't think it was good, and apparently it's a hit for them. They seem happy and like they succeeded with it.
They
but
stole his material.
They did steal his material. But did you rate this episode, Sam?
I did. I rated it 2 stars, but I can't even remember how it earned its 2nd star.
I also gave it 2 stars, and I think it is just because the first half of that episode was pretty strong.
The Take a Chance is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like that's one of those things. Like the Take a Chance is something I would rewatch happily. I like the Quango thing more than you did, and I think the Gonzo and Shields and Yarnell. Like I think the first half of this episode sets up a lot of potential that just had zero payoff.
Yeah, but it felt different to me than a bad early episode of the Muppet Show because it did still feel like competent. It's like put together well. It just was an act like the guests I didn't like.
Yeah,
But the show was pretty solid. It just was like I didn't connect with them, and maybe it's possible that some people love Shields and Yarnell and would have loved this episode. It's not a bad episode. It just is not for me, man.
but it is time to move on to our Muppets of the Week. This week's Muppets of the Week are Wayne and Wanda, the stars of season 1 of the Muppet Show, I would say.
They really grew on me in the times that they were on.
I still don't love them, but I do like that they brought them back in a jokey kind of way. They are, if you don't remember, Sam Eagle's sort of favorite singing duo that he seems to have brought to the Muppet Show. He vouches
Class
for
up
them.
the joint.
Yeah, they wanted to add some culture, so he introduces the classic stylings of Wayne and Wanda, who apparently were based on some actual like famous singers, Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald, who are in a bunch of like movies in the 30s or something like that, who I had never heard of, I had never watched, but if you go and watch a clip of them, you're like, oh, yep, I see it.
Right.
It's just a guy who's,
like,
yeah.
I'm sure I think they did that in like Looney Tunes and stuff too. Like if you see something making fun of that kind of act, is it making fun of them basically probably?
Yes.
Okay.
Just that like, ah! like
Right.
man and woman singing lovingly into each other's faces.
Right.
Yes, that is very much making fun of them. Or maybe paying homage. I don't
Sure.
really know. But the main feature of Wayne and Wanda was that their act always went awry. Something fell on them. Something exploded. A tree would fall on them. It would
The
suddenly...
little boat sank.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we, I think, theorized that it might actually be the Muppet crew intentionally trying to harm them because they hated their singing so much.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfectly fine. Like, there's tons of Muppet, like almost every Muppet act is somebody gets hurt horribly, so it fit right in, I thought.
But they did get fired, so
Yeah.
clearly Kermit wasn't loving what they were doing.
Yeah.
But they were there from the very beginning. Wayne and Wanda originally appeared in the unaired pilot that you can't watch anywhere unless you go to like the Paley Center, I believe. We had discussed how the unaired pilot had a really extended theme song with lots of little bits in the middle of the theme song. And one of those bits was a Wayne and Wanda number where they would come out and sing in the middle of the theme song. But their actual debuts on The Muppet Show, or maybe not what you might expect or remember, because, again, the episodes did not air in production order. But in production order, their debuts would be this. Wanda shows up in the very first episode, the Juliet Prowse episode, dancing in the background of an At the Dance with Manamana as her dance partner.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then in the second episode, the Connie Stevens episode, they are complaining backstage because their act had been canceled. And so the first time we would see them act together would be like talking about how they didn't get to perform. But then in the Joel Grey episode, which was the third episode in production order, they finally got to perform one of their classic bits for the very first time. Performing Wayne and Wanda in the early days were Richard Hunt and Aaron Oskar, who originated the roles back in 1976. And then after Aaron Oskar left the show, Wayne and Wanda pretty much disappeared. And
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and Wayne stuck around, did a few of the Muppet melodramas and a few other singing numbers that were kind of similar to Wayne and Wanda things. But so they largely disappeared because Aaron Oscar's departure from the show. But Muppet Wiki actually raises a really good point that we've never discussed, which is the in the switch from Jack Burns to Jerry Jewell as head writer in the second season.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did you lose a puppeteer, but Jerry Jewell specifically was less of a bit guy. He didn't like running gags as much. He was more of a character guy. He wanted the jokes to be about the characters themselves. And so in focusing more on characters instead of bits, he wasn't necessarily interested in keeping characters around who weren't really developed at all in season 1. So this is maybe why they weren't interested in like keeping George and Hilda and Mildred and Wayne and Wanda as a part of the regular cast, because he didn't see them as like viable, useful characters in his storytelling.
Yeah, I suppose he's probably right. I think Wayne and Wanda could have gotten there, but
yeah, but I think I think them popping up every so often like this is kind of a better use of their time. But I also think it's weird if you're somebody who maybe didn't get into the Muppet Show until like season 3 or something.
It's like a bold choice to bring them back when you can't watch it on tape or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as we just mentioned, we did see them in this week's batch of episodes, and we will see Wayne once more on The Muppet Show in season 5, but we won't see Wanda for a while. Aside from, they're in the end of the Muppet movie, they're in the Muppets, they're in the Muppets Take Manhattan, wedding sketch, they're in the Muppets 30th celebration thing. They're there. They're not doing anything. The next time she gets to really do something, which I think is a strong, maybe use of those words, is she pops up in 1988's Muppets Studios Presents You're the Director, a Viewmaster video game.
Okay.
Which is the video game that works with a VCR, so we're probably not going to be able to play that one.
Right.
I have a VCR, so if we can find that on eBay and it's not $600, maybe we can do an episode about that when we get there, but I'm not hopeful. And Wayne and Wanda have popped up in recent years, kind of starting again in the 2011 Muppets movie and Muppets Most Wanted. But most recently, we saw them in Muppets Haunted Mansion, again, dancing in the ballroom. And these days...
As ghosts.
Yes, they are dead. They are confirmed dead. These days, David Rudman, who has taken on a few of Richard Hunt's roles, performs Wayne. And Wanda, throughout the years, has been played by Alice Dinian and Julianne Bashir. Sorry, I don't know how to say that properly. And I believe that's who played Wanda most recently. And yeah, the last little fun fact about Wayne and Wanda is that the Muppets Character Encyclopedia says their relationship status is complicated.
Oh.
Which I think if Wayne is lying about doing the show without Wanda, makes sense.
Not a good foundation to build a relationship on.
Well, and it also says in there, because Wayne and Wanda have their own pages, but they're right next to each other alphabetically. So on Wanda's, it says relationship status, it's complicated. And then Wayne's relationship status says, whatever Wanda said.
That's cute.
Yeah. So, what would you rate Wayne and Wanda?
Okay, I kind of like Wayne and Wanda, and I kind of feel like there is a place for somebody trying to be like stodgy old vaudeville on the show more consistently than they have it. And I like that they have like kind of a complicated relationship with Sam Eagle, and it gives him something to do. I love Uncle Deadly and Wayne's relationship, and I think that could be like, they could still be like a duo today if there was a few more of those, I feel like. Because Uncle Deadly doesn't get used enough either. So I like that trio of bad guy, damsel in distress, good guy, who you can pull up for skits. So I think they're underappreciated. I'm going to give them 4 stars.
Wow. I am keeping it low because I did not like their bits when they were on the show. I think in retrospect, I do like them more, but I did not enjoy their season 1 bits really at all. So they're getting a solid 37 out of 60 from me.
That's very rude.
What are you going to do about it, Wayne and Wanda? You going to come get me? But yeah, let us know your thoughts on Wayne and Wanda. If you like them, if you hate them, if you don't really care about them at all. On our Twitter page, @KermitmentPod. So before we go, Sam, I want to ask and check in on you, see if you had any time to enjoy any non-Muppet things this week.
I honestly didn't really, Matt. I didn't really watch much of anything. You go first, and I'll think of something.
All right. Well, I also have a similar answer, unfortunately. I spent this week kind of catching up on things that I think I've talked about before on the podcast, where it was, Central Park, Abbott Elementary, the Andy Warhol documentary. I've been watching a lot of, going back and watching some of my favorite episodes of Community again. And the only really new thing I watched is WWE put out a new show called WWE Evils. Which is
what was that?
They're like mini documentaries essentially about some of the best bad guys that have ever been in wrestling.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's pretty interesting because you have some of the people actually on there talking about their decision to go bad and their decision to play an evil character kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's some of behind the curtain kind of things. And as part of that, because WrestleMania is coming up next weekend as we record, I've just been watching a lot of wrestling to sort of catch up on storylines because I don't watch it every single week. But in the lead up to WrestleMania, I kind of want to know what's going on. So
sure.
Been watching a lot of wrestling this week.
How's wrestling doing?
It's fine. There's some, very interesting characters
Who's
these days.
Who's the big bad guy now?
Roman Reigns, who used
really
to be,
he turned heel, huh?
He is the best heel in years in wrestling.
Wow.
He is very, very cocky. The tribal chief, he calls himself. He comes out and tells everyone that they must acknowledge him as the tribal chief. He has his little cousins running around as his minions.
His little cousins.
Yeah, he has 2 real life cousins who are wrestlers
Okay.
that he makes do all his bidding. And he's
That's
just
fun.
very evil and slimy and great. And they've actually, this is getting very nerdy for wrestling fans, but it's interesting that they basically took him and Brock Lesnar, who are 2 wrestlers that in the past wrestling fans have hated, despised, and never wanted to see wrestle ever again because they wrestled 3 WrestleManias or whatever in a row, and people were like, God damn it, we're so tired of these 2 wrestling each other. We hate both of them. In the past couple of years, they have made Roman Reigns a beloved bad guy, and they have now made Brock Lesnar a beloved good guy.
Ah.
And now they are fighting at WrestleMania, and everyone is super stoked.
And everyone's excited.
Yep. Brock
cool.
Lesnar has leaned into his real life personality and is this silly cowboy guy, not like a silly cowboy in the way of Shields and Yarnell, but he is a guy who owns a giant ranch in Canada and who just drives around tractors all day, and he's coming out now and just letting that real side of him out, and it turns out he seems like an okay guy now.
Like a big sweetie or something?
He's letting himself be sillier and just kind of have an actual personality as opposed to just I can punch through your head if I wanted to.
Man, he's fucking big.
He's huge. There's your wrestling update for the week.
I loved it.
What'd you watch?
I didn't watch anything.
All right. Moving on. Before we go, we need to let you know what we're going to watch next week and discuss. So, next week we'll be finishing up the rest of October 1979 with 3 more season 4 episodes of The Muppet Show featuring guest Crystal Gale, Kenny Rogers, and Dudley Moore in what I
I'm
believe...
excited for the Kenny Rogers one.
I think there's some problematic behavior in that one, Sam.
Oh, no.
Sorry to
no.
report. I think we're
Oh,
going to have
God.
some content warnings before at least 1 or 2 of these episodes.
Oh, boy.
And on top of those, we'll also be checking out an extremely brief clip of Kermit and Fozzie on a show called It'll Be Alright on the Night.
What is that?
It's like a British blooper show.
Oh, British. That's why its name is weird.
We need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget, you can head on over to Kermitment.com to pick up a Kermitment logo enamel pin and check out our brand new Patreon page. You can also email us at mail@kermitment.com if you have any questions or criticisms for us. That just seems to be what that email inbox gets used for the most.
Oh, boy.
And you can follow this podcast on Twitter at KermitmentPod, where we tweet out the links to the things you can watch. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.